Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter's Reality TV Recaps and Opinions, but mostly opinions. And today, we're going to talk about 1,000-Pound Sisters. So, first of all, let me tell you about my day yesterday of what happened with this channel. So, I sat outside yesterday, and I filmed a 30-minute video talking about the Slayton sisters and Amanda and Misty and Chris and Michael, Amy's ex-husband, and on and on and on. And I did this great video and compared Amanda to Sutton Strack from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I did this great video, okay? I mean, listen, I didn't take no notes or nothing. And I was like, okay, I said everything I needed to say. And then I came in and I was like transferring another video to upload from one of my other channels. And I took Boo Radley out. When I brought him in, I gave him treats. And when I did, when he was eating his treats, I took my camera into the kitchen to trade out the battery because I filmed so many videos and the battery dies. So I've got like 2 batteries charging and 2 batteries ready to go at any given time, right? So I changed out the battery, and I always do this, and as soon as I traded out the battery, I put in there, by the way, do you like my new hat? This is my hat that my good Judy Tommy Jean got me for my sobriety birthday and for Christmas. So anyway, as soon as I traded out the battery, I went in, boop, 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 like I always do, just like I don't even think about it, right? And I went, erase all images, okay, which is like all the videos off my memory card. Literally, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh my God, what did you just do? What did you just do? I hadn't uploaded it or anything. People are always like, you can get those videos back off your memory card. There's like, you have to buy software programs that are like memory card recovery program. I was like, no, it's just gonna be easier for me to film another video. So, then let's talk about what I talked about at the beginning of my video yesterday, which was how my drama video from yesterday came about. So I did a drama video yesterday. My video was called Amy and Tammy Slayton versus Amberlynn Reid versus Chantal Foodie Beauty. Okay, so back in the day on my drama channel, which is called Peter Mon, it's just Peter Mon, my name, M-O-N-N, and I used to cover Amy Slayton way back in the day, okay, and I also covered Amberlynn Reid. So I started yesterday doing my reality TV channel. That was like the first video that I filmed yesterday, and at the beginning of it, I was giving this long history of how I used to cover Amy Slayton and her scandals and controversies, and then how she got the show and blah, blah, blah. And then I was comparing her to Amberlynn Reid and whatever. And I got about 10 minutes or so into the video, maybe even longer than that. And I was like, why don't you just make this drama video about this? Because you've been kind of wanting to do this drama video anyway. So if you guys want to see that, it's over on my drama channel. It's my video from yesterday. And like I said, it's called Amy and Tammy Slayton versus Amberlynn Reid versus Chantal at Foodie Beauty. So, I have a lot to say in there about the history of that and their channels as well, if that's what you're interested in. If you're here just for the 1,000-Pound Sisters, let's do a recap of this week's episode. So, this week was, I believe, was this the second or the third episode of, let me look it up really quick. I think this was the second episode. Yeah, I'm almost positive it was. The second episode, hold on a second, let me pull it up. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm looking this up because I already know that it's the truth, okay? I know the truth, and the truth don't lie. And the truth is that this was the second episode. Here was 1,000-Pound Sisters, and hold on a second, okay. And this was episode 2 of season 5, Fork You, I'm Done. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this episode. First of all, I want to say that on last week's episode, it was when Tammy came home and Amy and Amanda got into an argument because Amanda made some joke to Amy about which eye are you looking at me for or whatever. Amy's made it very, very clear on the show that she is legally blind in one eye. She like freaked out, started crying. She was very, very upset. Okay. What was interesting to me about this, having covered Amy for a very long time, stuff like that, having binge watched the last 4 seasons, was when this scene happened, I was like, this is, and I already knew that her and Michael had gotten divorced because that's public, you know, knowledge and things like that. I was like, this is so much deeper because they literally joke with each other all the time. Her and Tammy make fun of each other all the time. It's part of what I love about it, you know, is their rapport together. I love that. And I love how, like, you know, I mean, listen, Amanda reminds me kind of my good Judy Tommy Jean. I think it's the hair, but it's just also her, like, directness and her sassiness. We all need an Amanda in our life, right? I think we all need an Amanda. I love Amanda. So anyway, So, you know, they all like joke with each other. Amanda jokes with Tammy. Tammy jokes with Amanda. Amanda jokes with Chris. Amy jokes with Tammy. Amy jokes with, I mean, they all joke with each other, right? Misty's really the only one that doesn't really kind of like engage with the jokes, right? But they all joke with each other and call each other names and stuff like that. So I was like, what is this? And when Amy apologizes to her later, Amanda even says to her, sis, we all joke with each other. Like, this is something else is going on with you, right? So that's how this episode starts, because Tammy is having a housewarming party. She's now living in Amanda's old house. So she has a housewarming party with all the relatives, right? So she's kind of worried that this is going to blow up because of how it happened, or how it blew up with Amy. And so Amy comes over there first with Glenn, her son, and they're talking and whatever. And she's like, I've got to pull Amanda aside and apologize to her, which she does. And it's very, very nice. The whole family comes over, the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, whatever, right? So Amy apologizes to Amanda, and Amanda's like, girl, you got to make some changes in your life. Like, you have to, right? I wish I had not deleted that video yesterday. That video was so good yesterday. I had it all, like, I said everything, didn't miss a point. It was funny. It was endearing. I like that video yesterday was good. But anyway, but it's gone. It's in the netherworld. It's deleted. So anyway. But, so she apologizes to Amanda. Amanda accepts it. She's like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or whatever. And I love that about Amanda. Like, Amanda can be ruthless, but Amanda can also, like, own her stuff. And I love that about her. So, then it goes into this party. And then there's this scene, which is interesting, that, okay, so it's, the mom is there. The mom who never shows up for a wedding, can never leave her dog. She's got health problems. And I understand that she's got health problems and she can't travel far, you know, but travel far and travel hard. But, I mean, Tammy got on the floor of a van and traveled 8 hours to Atlanta, okay? So, you can't drive a couple hours to go to your daughter's wedding, or down to the Creekside to go to Amy's wedding. I mean, like, that's surprising to me, right? The mother never wants to show up to anything. And I don't know what's going on in her life. They don't show a lot about her, so I'm not going to come for her and criticize her, right? But it would hurt my feelings if my mother didn't show up for things in my life. Like, that would really hurt me, you know? Especially in some of the stories that Amy and Tammy and Chris and them have shared about the relationship with their mother. It seems like their mother really never has shown up for them ever, you know? And this was a moment which was interesting because Tammy looks across the table at her mother. They kind of show the confessional, and Tammy's like, I can't believe my mom hasn't even said anything to me about all the weight I've lost. And Tammy looks at her across the table, and she says to her mom, she says, are you going to say anything about my weight loss? Like, you know, years ago, you said to me that you didn't think I'd make it, that I would lose any weight. And her mom responds to her and says, well, I'm glad that you made me a liar. I'm happy that you made me a liar, right? And Tammy, like, immediately goes into that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make you a liar. Basically, this is the problem with a lot of the family, okay? I'd love to see them all in, like, marriage counseling. Not marriage counseling. We don't need kissing cousins. I'd love to see them all, like, in family counseling together, right? Because this is the deal. They don't know how to take their feelings of what they're saying and communicate it appropriately, right? Like, Tammy could have looked at her mom and said, it hurts my feelings that you haven't acknowledged my weight loss yet. And her mother could have said to her, I'm very proud of you, Amy, or Tammy. In fact, she had said that in the previous episode. But what she says is, you said that I would never make it, right? So what she's wanting her mom to do is acknowledge the fact that her mom didn't believe in her from the very beginning. And Tammy proved that she can be successful. And so her mom says, well, I'm happy that you made me a liar. Basically saying, I'm really proud of you. I'm happy that you did this weight loss thing. Tammy says, well, I didn't do it to prove to you as a liar. Well, that's not really what she's saying anyway. We're having this conversation saying things that aren't really what we're saying, because then they show her mom outside in this folding chair in the yard in her confessional. The Real Housewives, you know, they get a whole house. You know, Mama Slayton, she gets a folding chair out in the front yard, you know. And she says, you know, that Tammy's upset with her and whatever, and that she, you know, proved to her to be a liar because she didn't believe in them or whatever. But, like, they can say these things in confessionals. This always kills me about reality TV, right? They can say these things in confessionals, but they won't say it to the person. I'm like, do you realize you guys could be healing and curing a lot of things, or not curing, but healing a lot of wounds by just saying these things to each other directly? I think that's part of the problem with all the members of the family, is that Amanda honestly is like Chris holds back a lot. Like, I've seen that kind of like progress over the show. Like, at first he didn't really, but throughout the show he's like gotten a lot softer and more compassionate. Like, Amanda, she can speak very directly about how she's feeling or what she thinks and whatever, right? But like with Amy and Tammy, and especially like their mom and stuff like that, they're kind of like talking around. Like, they don't know really what to say, right? And so they don't just come out and say it. And at the end of this episode was when we really saw that, because we saw like this breakdown of Amy Slate and Halterman, right? So that happened. Then they go in, they show this whole thing about Caleb in treatment or in rehab, and Caleb is now emotionally eating. First of all, I just want to say this. It is really, really hard for me to watch scenes with Caleb because we know that he passed away. The love between Caleb and Tammy is undoubtedly so real and so sweet. To see them like, you know, I know it sounds kind of weird, but like to see them like, you know, pushing their wheelchairs to the rehab center. It's like, okay, they fell in love and then they did with their love what they could with the situation they were given. And I love that. I love that so much, right? Like, they knew they were in this rehab center. You know, they got married, then they had to sleep in the same room. They couldn't sleep in the same bed because the facility wouldn't let them do that. But they do the best they can with it, you know? And I love that so much. And so then he starts talking about, like, since Tammy's been gone, it's been really hard for him and he's been emotionally eating. One of the things I love about this show is that they approach it very much from like an addictions point of view, talking about food addiction, talking about all that kind of stuff, right? Emotional eating and whatever. Like, they don't shy away from those issues. And he says in there that he's emotionally eating basically to like heal his wounds of Tammy being gone. Tammy had to go live her life, you know? I mean, I can't even imagine being in that situation where you have found finally the love of your life and married them, but you also want your freedom and you want to go home because you've been so successful, it's time for you to go home. And he doesn't want to hold her back. You know, and she doesn't want to leave him. So it's like this impossible situation. And so now he's emotionally eating, which basically translates as he's gaining weight or not losing any weight. And so he knows the trach isn't going to get out and he's not going to be getting out of the rehab center anytime soon. And Tammy wants him home with her, right? And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to tell Tammy that. And it's just heartbreaking to me, right? Like, when we look at these things like food addiction, like, you know, as people know, I've been sober for 29 years, you know, when we talk about all kinds of different addictions, you know, whatever, it's like, it goes so far past, you know, just like, hey, they need to lose some weight and whatever. It's all the emotional stuff inside and all that kind of stuff, right? And so it's such a struggle. And to see these people be so vulnerable and authentic on camera, it's just like unbelievable to me. And you know, like I got a couple people that reached out to me and were like, yeah, but did you know that Caleb was like looking up Tammy's social media and like, listen, people find weird ways to meet people, okay, and have lasting relationships. Some of them ways they shouldn't probably be doing it. But he found Tammy, okay, online, and then his sister said to him, she's in this rehab, you should go there, right? And he met Tammy while he was there. The one thing I loved about it was that he was so completely honest with her. Like, he was so honest when he was like, yeah, I followed you on social media and my sister saw the pictures of you in rehab or your TikToks or whatever and said that I should go to the same rehab center and that's how I ended up here. It was so real and authentic, you know, it was so vulnerable. And that's one of the things I love about the show. So then that goes into, I have to be honest with you, like I'm real excited about this season, but seeing how Caleb plays out and how much of that they show, it's just going to be heartbreaking to watch because he is just such a sweet guy. He is just such a sweet guy, right? So then it's the final scene of the episode and Amy is there and she's wanting to hire a nanny to help her out and Amanda and Misty are there and Amanda's like, Amanda's always like this. Hey, Amy, Michael, could you get off those videos? Michael, could you come in the room for a second? I love Amanda so much, okay? Amanda and I would be like good GDs, okay? And so she's like, so Amy's like, well, I just can't deal with this anymore, blah, 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 whatever. Amy has already told me that she has several meltdowns on this season, and she's really worried about those, like how people will, you know, see them on the show and things like that, which I think that would be so hard. I mean, we've all had meltdowns in our life. Can you imagine being filmed and have them on reality TV to watch over and over and over on loop if you wanted to? Or for other people. I mean, it's embarrassing enough when you have one partner or your family or whatever, or friends to see you have a meltdown, right? Let alone the entire world, you know? But I think I'm also a believer that you have to work through those things to get to the other side. I think it's all a cathartic process, and I hope that for Amy, you know? I loved when she was having a conversation with Amanda, and that somehow Amanda said something about referencing the postpartum, and Amy said, and this is where she was taking some accountability, and I said in my last video, if you guys want to bring up scandals and controversies, I have no problem addressing it, okay? I know about the whole situation with the smoking cigarettes, and I thought it was interesting that in this edited version of the show, they show Amy smoking, which I, in all honesty, do not remember. Maybe a vape one time, but I don't remember Amy ever. I remember them like trying to like, I've heard that they were like editing around her like smoking or whatever, but like I don't remember ever an episode where they actually showed her smoking a cigarette. So then the smoking scandal comes out online, which I'll talk about down the road because Amy told me she's going to address it. I don't know that the way that she's going to address it is the best way, but hey, listen, she's got to make her choices. So I'll address that when that happens. But then the very next episode after this, they show her smoking outside, and I was like, that's interesting if they included that in the edit, right? Like, is this going to bring more views, you know? So that was interesting to me. So she's having this conversation about how she wants to hire a nanny because she can't handle the 2 kids on her own and all this kind of stuff, right? And Amanda's like, well, what about Michael? What about Michael? So then Michael comes out, and Michael's like, basically, the whole thing is about Michael can't handle the kids by himself, okay? That Amy can't go anywhere unless she takes 1 kid because Michael can't handle 1 kid by himself. And basically, what Amy says is that he can't play his video games. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that, okay? Because I've been thinking about this for a while. You know, the first couple of seasons, Michael did so much for Amy and Tammy. I mean, Michael literally was an unpaid caretaker for Tammy Slaton, okay? Pushed her everywhere in that wheelchair. Amy was buying all the food, preparing the food for Tammy. I mean, they literally were a caretaking couple for somebody. And yes, they were family, and I understand if that's what you do for family, but that's a lot. Like, Jerry, Tammy's boyfriend, stood right there while Michael pushed this wheelchair up ramps and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, and for years and years and years, and never complained about it. And in all honesty, unless they didn't show this in the edit, got very few thank yous for it. Michael, like, never got any thank yous for it, right? So I don't know if he's just had it or what's going on. But then it comes to the kids, and they show scenes like last season with Chris at that barbecue where they ride the horses. And Amy's like crying, the kids are running around, and Michael's over there just eating a plate. By the way, I love that. That is such a Midwest thing, like them hey dudes. I said something about the hey dudes. I got so many comments about the hey dudes. I hate them hey dudes. Jeez, I think they're ugly. And Amy wears those hey dudes, okay? So she's watching my video back last week, messaging me, and she's like, oh, by the way, she goes, I'm not wearing them hey dudes anymore. I got a pair of Nikes, and she sent me a picture. I was living. Okay, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So anyway, Amy should start an OnlyFans and just show pictures of her feet and hey dudes and things like that. So anyway, I lived. But anyway, what was I saying? So I think what it is that I think that Michael does have the natural ability to suit up and show up and be a caretaker. I don't think he has the ability to be a parent. I don't know that he knows how to do that. I don't know that he knows what goes along with that. I don't know that he had anybody to teach him how to do that, you know? And I think that he doesn't know how to communicate that to Amy. And that's where, again, the communication comes in. And I'm not making any excuses for Michael. Like, he's very cruel, okay, at the end of season 4 and the beginning of season 5 to Amy. Oh, this is what I was going to say about the scene with Amy and Amanda, where Amanda's asking her questions, and Amy says, the postpartum, Glenn was born 7 months ago. This is not postpartum. And Amanda goes, you are having depression. Like, you need to go deal with it. And I thought it was such an authentic conversation, right? Because Amy could just blame it and say it's postpartum. And she's like, no, it's way past that at this point, you know? And it's like, I can't handle this on my own. To know the fact that she dealt with postpartum and now is dealing with depression, okay, and having to raise these 2 kids and help out with Tammy and help out with her mother and all this kind of stuff, it's a lot, right? Although Tammy doesn't really seem to need tons of help, but some, and Chris and Amanda seem to help a lot without Misty as well. So it doesn't seem like Amy is helping out as much. I just think Amy is completely overwhelmed and had no idea what it was going to be like to have 2 toddlers. That's what I really think. And Michael is shit and cannot help his wife whatsoever, okay? You know, I can remember my mom telling me the story that when I was born, my dad was doing his medical residency. So my dad did his medical residency at Northwestern in Chicago. And so he was working at downtown at Cook County Hospital in downtown Chicago. And he would be like 48 on, 48 off. And so my mom would be with me alone for like 48 hours. My dad would be working nonstop 48 hours, okay? In downtown Chicago Hospital. He would come home to Evanston where we lived. I had just been born, and literally my mom would say, she would say to me, your dad was so fantastic that when he would walk in the door, I literally would hand him over to you, and then he'd be like, go take a nap, go lay down, whatever, you know, go take a walk, go do something that you want to do. And she said, your dad would just take care of you. Having just come off of 48 hours, he would take care of you for like the next 12 to 24 hours. He would like let me have a day by myself, you know? So no, I don't feel real bad for Michael. I don't, okay? I think he's a shit husband. I think he's a shit father from what we've seen so far. You know, and to be honest with you, it's not just about the fact that maybe he doesn't know how to raise these kids and ask for help. I think, like, that's a big part of it, right? Because he says to Amy at the part, like, I can't do it when you're not here. Basically saying, I don't know what to do with these kids when you're not here to help me, okay? Instead of saying, Amy, like, I'm really struggling being a dad. Like, I don't really know what to do. Can you help me? Teach me? And then maybe I can do it on my own. Like, that would be an effective conversation, but we're not having those conversations on the show, right? But where I felt like it was like a really, like, where it showed that he was like a shit husband was when all Amy wants to do is go to the grocery store with her sisters. Okay, like, that is such a good Midwestern thing. Amy literally lives like 3 hours from me, by the way. That would, and this is what we do in the Midwest. It's like, I love going to the Meijer, the Walmart, you know, or whatever with my car, the Costco, the Target with my good Judy Ton jean, getting a fountain coat. That's like a night out, right? And Amy, that's all she wants to do is go to the grocery store with her sisters. And when he starts huffing and puffing and he goes, I was going to take you to the grocery store. And I was like, you are literally an infant man, okay? You are like a man child. I was going to take you to the grocery store. I was like, you need to grow up, dude. You need to look at your wife and say, you know what, you take such good care of these kids that yes, you deserve to go out for a night. And not just to the grocery store, go see a movie, go out to dinner. Take yourself out. And is Michael not working anymore? Because he worked forever. And then all of a sudden he's not working. They're talking about how he's not working anymore. Did Michael lose his job? Is Amy supporting him on what she makes? On 1,000-Pound Sisters? And if that's the case, if she's supporting him off of what she's making and things like that, can somebody explain to me why she doesn't have access to her own money, number one? Number two, if I went up to my husband right now and I said, I need $200, he'd be like, okay, here's my debit card. If he came down here right now and said, I need $200, I'd be like, here's my debit card, right? Where are you in a couple? Like, that to me is emotional issues, okay? That's control, okay? When you are holding the money over somebody's head, he will not give her money, right? Then Amanda goes in this whole thing and she gets right up in his face and she's like, put your hands on me, put your hands on me. I was like, this is like Sutton Stracke, you know? Name them. Name them. Name them. I forgot my favorite part of the whole episode. I'll talk about that in just a second. I think that Amanda needs to come up with merch that says, put your hands on me. She would sell 1,000 of those t-shirts. She would so much. But, so that was kind of how it ended. And then I lived for Miss Tammy, Queen Tammy, sitting over in the corner calling the police. And she's like, filing her nails. No, she wasn't. But she's like, yeah, he raised his voice at my sister. You need to come over here now. I mean, this is so Midwest. You guys have no idea, okay? You have no idea how many houses back in the day that I was sitting in. I'm not talking about when I was using. I'm talking about when I was sober, okay? Where somebody would call the police on a neighbor, loud, you know, noise disturbance and all that kind of stuff back in the day. That is it. Small town Midwest is what that is, okay? And the other thing that small town Midwest is, if you got a cold, okay, or whatever, the worst thing in the entire world, everybody goes to the hospital. They don't go to doctors, they go to the hospital. If you're from a small town, you know it's the truth, okay? So that's the other thing from small towns. But anyway, so that was how it ended. So we'll find out more about that in the next episode. Amy leaves. She takes her kids. She's going to stay at Amanda's house. I have a feeling this is the beginning of the dissension of the marriage and the beginning of the divorce. It's going to be very interesting how it plays out. I know there was some kind of custody battle. And I don't ask Amy a lot about that because I want to watch it unfold and watching the show. But I think it's all out there. Like, you can read the blogs and stuff like that. But or the articles that are written and whatever, but apparently there was some kind of custody battle. I'm not really sure why he would, was it for partial custody or full custody, why he would be fighting for anything unless it's partial custody, which, okay, he's the father, right? But, like, I don't understand why if it's for full custody, and I'm probably completely wrong, but, like, why? So you can take him over to your mom's house and she can watch him because you can't handle him on your own. That's been proven. You proved that on the show, right? My favorite part of the entire show was when Tammy was preparing the charcuterie board for her welcome home part or housewarming party, except she didn't call it a charcuterie board. She called it a charcuterie board. And her and Amy, and y'all, if you watch my videos, you know I don't never get song lyrics right, okay? I mispronounce so many words, okay? I talk with a southern accent even though I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, where there are no southern accents. I don't know where I pick it up from, okay? But listen, I love a good mispronounced word, okay? Especially when it's hilarious. And when her and Amy start getting laughing about this charcuterie board, I am like, oh my God, this is such a moment. This is fantastic television, right? Tammy Slaton needs to come, speaking of merch, she needs to come. Seriously, Tammy, you need sweatshirts, you need t-shirts, you need the whole 9 yards, okay? And it needs to say, Come eat off my charcuterie board. You would make $1 million, okay? If you made merch that said, come eat off my charcuterie board. Not shop. Come eat off my charcuterie board. People would live for that. You could have charcuterie boards, the wood ones, that had that imprinted on there. Come eat off my charcuterie board. People would live. They would think that was hilarious. They'd be buying it as, you know, bridal shower gifts and having it for Christmas parties and all. People would live for that. That was so funny. I love that so much. So anyway, let me know what you thought about 1,000 Pound Sisters in the comment section below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.